Hello everyone, my name is Damon Barnes. I'm the Director of Technical Marketing for the Bluetooth Special Interest Group. Today I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of some recent feature enhancements for Bluetooth technology, talk a little bit about some upcoming projects or in-process projects that are underway, and then also give you the latest on the rollout of Auracast broadcast audio. So with that said, let's jump right into it. Okay, first, let's start off with a little bit about the Bluetooth Special Interest Group, who we are and what we do. So the Bluetooth SIG, we oversee, of course, Bluetooth technology and all associated trademarks. We're a non-for-profit, member-driven organization. It's about 27 years old, established in 1998. The SIG, we're a little bit different than other wireless standards organizations in that we're kind of like this one-stop shop for all things Bluetooth technology. We have four main organizations within SIG. We have a standards development organization, a qualification group. We also have a group that functions as the patent and trademark license administrator, and we also function as the industry trade association for Bluetooth technology. So our standards development organization, they have on average 50 plus specification development projects underway at any given time. And in this qualification group, last year alone, they qualified 70,000 plus Bluetooth products. And then when I talk about the patent and trademark license administrator, this is where we basically license or provide a cross-license to the 40,000 plus Bluetooth member organizations. And industry trade organization, we're responsible, that's where my group resides, we're responsible for the education and promotion of the 5 billion plus Bluetooth products that ship each year. So that's kind of who we are as the SIG. All right, so this slide, just real quick, not too much about it, but Bluetooth technology is the most widely deployed wireless standard when we compare that against Wi-Fi and cellular. And if you take a quick look at the slide, we have nearly 5 billion devices that are shipped each year, as I mentioned, and that growth is going to only increase over the next 5 years. This data is the projections, at least, or all of the data actually is provided by ABI Research. And as you see, Bluetooth technology is going, got a nice little growth trend. And then to take just a little bit closer look at that, this slide right here focuses in just on Bluetooth technology itself. If you take a look at the chart, in 2029, we're projected to have 7.7 billion Bluetooth devices shipped. That equates, if you tabulate, from, say, 2025 to 2029 over those 5 years, a 9% compound annual growth rate, which is a really strong growth forecast. We believe at the SIG that this is going to materialize thanks to the ongoing innovation and hard work by the Bluetooth member community. So with that said, now let's take a look at some of the feature enhancements and use cases that are going to drive this growth. Okay, so this chart right here displays the recent major enhancements to Bluetooth technology, say, over the last 10 years. If we dial all the way back to 2016, that's when we increased the throughput of Bluetooth technology to 2 megabits per second with the 2M PHY. And then we also added a coded PHY to extend range about 4x from that time period. In 2017, middle of the year, that's when we standardized mesh networking over Bluetooth technology. Bluetooth mesh networking enables large-scale device-to-device communications, of course, and wireless lighting control or network lighting control. This is a use case area in the commercial space that's seen really strong adoption of the Bluetooth mesh feature set. Moving forward in 2020, that's when we started the rollout of LE Audio. LE Audios think of it as the next generation wireless audio platform. LE Audio also enables Auracast, of course, which I'll talk more about here shortly. Moving on from 2023, that's when we released the periodic advertising with responses feature. Periodic advertising with responses standardizes these really low power, large scale device networks, such as those you see pictured here for electronic shelf labels. Periodic advertising with responses enables these massive hub deployments. The retail space is taking advantage of this feature right now. Walmart in the U.S. Is running a trial where they're deploying Bluetooth-based ESL at hundreds of locations as of last year, and we expect Bluetooth ESL adoption to only increase over time. And then, if fast forward to today, it's beginning of Q1 2025, and last year we released Bluetooth channel sounding at the end of the year. We think Bluetooth channel sounding is going to have a really big impact on a number of Bluetooth use cases. And the second session today, we're going to be solely focused on Bluetooth channel sounding. So I would encourage you, after this session completes this morning, to come back and join us for a deep dive on Bluetooth channel sounding. So those are the major feature enhancements that have been released that are going to drive some of the growth that I mentioned. Now let's turn to some of the features that are going to add growth. These are projects that are underway currently. All right, so this is a quick overview of the 4 projects that I'm going to give you a quick update on. Releasing this year, it's going to be a phased release, as the ultra low latency HID project. There's multiple enhancements I'll share with you here on that one. And then high data throughput, that's targeting release in 2026. High data throughput is going to add new PHYs, increase data rates. And then we have a whole host of LE audio enhancements that are underway. Those will start coming through in 2026. And then in 2027, we're going to be hoping to enable Bluetooth LE operation in higher frequency bands. Okay, so ultra low latency HID. So HID devices, as you may know, or if you don't, are human interface devices. Think of these as keyboards, mice, controllers for gaming. This feature is working to bring down the latency of Bluetooth-based HID devices by adding support for polling rates up to 1,000 hertz or 1 kilohertz. This is going to bring latency down to about the 1 millisecond range. By doing this, we're going to make Bluetooth HID devices nearly as responsive as proprietary wireless type devices and closer to the same experience that you might get with a USB wired HID device. And so gaming is going to be the initial use case that really takes advantage of these feature enhancements. And then, also in addition, you'll look at being able to improve the user experience, kind of like you see pictured over here, for augmented, virtual, and mixed reality type use cases. So that's the ultra low latency HID project. All right, and then high data throughput. This is a project where we're working to increase the max data rate of Bluetooth technology to 8 megabits per second. That's the target. By doing that, adding increased throughput, we're going to drastically enhance the performance of a number of different use cases. Out of the gate, when HDT is first released, we're going to see probably LE Audio take advantage of some of these performance enhancements initially. Some of the projects that will take advantage of the HDT, of the HDT feature are we're looking to standardize high resolution and lossless audio over Bluetooth technology, standardizing spatial audio, and then Bluetooth-based wireless surround sound. Additionally, of course, with faster data rates, you're going to get faster data transfer, faster synchronization, say from your wearable device or something like that. There's also potentially benefits for lower power consumption when you get on and off faster for your wireless communication, and then better wireless coexistence as well, say with Wi-Fi, when we potentially get airtime gains by getting on and off faster as well. So those are some of the benefits of the HTT feature set. All right, and I've touched on some of these. When it comes to LE Audio, like I said, there's a whole host of enhancement projects that are underway. I mentioned high-res and lossless audio, spatial audio, surround sound. These are all separate projects where we're working to standardize Bluetooth-based audio for these use cases. And then additionally, in the middle, you see one listed as sound exposure. This is where we're looking to standardize the reporting of sound pressure data from Bluetooth-based headphones. This allows users to better monitor their sound exposure and ensure that we're not doing damage to our hearing if the volume's too loud and things of that nature. And then Auracast, there's several Auracast enhancements underway as well. Two of the ones that are, I think, worth mentioning, we're looking to standardize deployment of multiple transmitters to add capacity and extend coverage, thinking about like large public venue settings where you might have multiple transmitters. And so those are just a few of the enhancements that are underway for LE Audio to improve the performance there. And then lastly, but certainly not least, we have the Bluetooth LE and higher bands project. This is where we're looking to extend Bluetooth LE operation into higher mid-band spectrum. We're targeting 5 and 6 gigahertz bands here, unlicensed, of course. The way we frame this project is being undertaken to essentially ensure the next 25 years of performance enhancements for Bluetooth technology. Of course, with the project, you're going to be operating in higher bands, like you've seen potentially from Wi-Fi. You're going to see faster data rates. We're also going to be able to bring latency down even further due to the increased channel bandwidth. And then for location type use cases, we'll get better positioning accuracy since we have the wider bands to work in, kind of think like UWB. And then, of course, the developers of the call it the higher bands feature set are making sure that they can do whatever they can to make sure to basically apply lessons learned from operating adjacent to Wi-Fi and ensure that there's better coexistence with other unlicensed wireless standards in the bands. Okay, now let's turn our focus to the use cases. These are the major use case areas that we see Bluetooth technology basically enabling, that will enable the growth that I mentioned earlier over the next 5 years. So digital key access control type use cases, I mentioned this massive ecosystem or massive deployment base of Bluetooth devices that we have, billions and billions of devices. Think about if all or most of these Bluetooth devices are enabled as part of a large Find My network. That could be very powerful. I talked a little bit about electronic shelf labels, wireless lighting control, ambient IoT. This is a newer use case area. Think of this as batteryless Bluetooth devices, primarily deployed for supply chain optimization, supply chain coordination, small little batteryless devices all over to improve supply chain management. Now, let's turn our attention to Auracast. But before I jump into Auracast, let me give you just a little bit of background. So Bluetooth has been basically a leading innovator in wireless audio for the last 20 plus years. But a few years ago, member companies, they started looking at and planning for what's next in wireless audio. And a group of members at the center of the initiative were the hearing aid manufacturers and organizations from the hearing aid industry. And so what they did is they approached the SIG and spearheaded a project that's now resulted in LE Audio. And so LE Audio think of it as our next generation audio platform. So now Bluetooth technology has classic audio, the audio that most of your devices, headsets, earbuds use today for streaming audio and for voice. But LE Audio is the new platform. Both platforms will exist for many years. However, most of the innovation is going to be occurring on the LE Audio side. And when it comes to the benefits of LE Audio, we break it down into 3 buckets, really. So, of course, over time, you're going to get higher quality audio. As I mentioned, some of the feature projects that are underway. You're going to get better performance and lower power consumption because it's audio based on the Bluetooth LE architecture. And then you're going to have new standardization. I mentioned the hearing aids. So now there are standardized over-the-counter Bluetooth-based hearing aids, which will over time see increased performance when compared to traditional hearing aids. And then you're going to have this global interoperability thanks to this the global Bluetooth ecosystem. And then lastly, but certainly not least, the focus of the next few slides is going to be Auracast. Auracast is based on broadcast audio, so a transmitter, one-way communication to an unlimited number of devices that tap into the system. And we talk about Auracast being this next generation assisted listening system or ALS technology. And Auracast enables these immersive audio experiences that I'll explain a little bit more in a subsequent slide. So now let's look at how Auracast works at a really high level. All right, so with Auracast, I started to mention it, but a Bluetooth device or transmitter can now broadcast one way to an unlimited number of in-range devices. So transmitter devices, can think of those as TVs, laptops, tablets, or PA systems. They're going to be broadcasting directly to the receiver devices, which might be earbuds, headphones, could be hearing aids, cochlear implants, you name it, any device that could stream audio. And then you have your assistive assistant devices, which smartphones, could be a smartwatch, could even be a hearing aid remote. These are the devices that you're going to basically use as your interface to identify and tap into an Auracast broadcast. And so that's how it works at a really high level. The experiences that I mentioned, we kind of throw into three main buckets. So share your audio, unmute your world, and hear your best. When we talk about share your audio, we're talking about sharing an audio broadcast with someone like a friend or colleague, and then unmute your world is taking these TVs that might be in bar settings, hotel lobby, or even in an airport that you would normally just be able to see visually. But with Auracast, if the TV were broadcasting the content or broadcasting the audio content, you could then have a more complete watching experience by hearing, say, the football game in addition to just watching it. And then hear your best. Great example here is like at an airport. You're in an airport, you have gate announcements, gate change announcements. When you entered the airport, you had tapped into the PA system for the airport. If it supported Auracast, you could then get these gate announcements and change announcements directly to your earbuds or hearing device that you might be using. So those are the three big experiences for Auracast that we talk about. And then like locations, I've kind of mentioned a few: airports, bars, hotels, theaters, lecture halls, and then conference rooms, conference centers like this setting right here. One example here that I like to use is you're listening to me talk here today, but maybe you're more comfortable hearing or listening in another language like German or maybe Mandarin. If this venue supported Auracast, you could simulcast my presentation in an alternative language, and then you could listen to it that way directly on your earbuds if you so chose. And then day in the life. This is just a little example slide that we have for a travel experience to a conference. So I'll use myself as the example here. So I go to the airport, right? I tap in via my smartphone to the airport PA system to be able to hear gate announcements. Once I'm there, I then go to sit down in a waiting area, a restaurant, bar, and I could listen in to the football game while I'm waiting for to be timed to board. Maybe I hear an announcement while I'm watching the game that my gate's changed, so I walk to a different area that I planned. I go to sit down in the waiting area. I see a colleague that I know through the industry, and I show them maybe the latest video that we have on Bluetooth channel sounding and how it's performing so well. Once you get on the airplane yourself, you tap into the in-flight entertainment system, in-flight PA system. Then you not only can take in your audio through the seat back, but then also these pilot announcements from staff on the plane. Sometimes those aren't as loud as we would like, but if you're getting that announcement directly to your earbuds, you're going to get a better experience and understand exactly where your gate's going to be when you land and things of that nature. And then lastly, I mentioned it kind of already, but in presentation settings in a conference center, simulcast, multicast, broadcast in alternative languages as well. So that's a kind of our day in the life overview. So now let's turn to where we are with Auracast-enabled products and then deployments. So as far as in products that have qualified and support the Auracast broadcast audio feature set, we feel like we have pretty broad support in the major product categories. So on what we call the platform side, we have support from Microsoft, Android, and then Intel as well. And then on the smartphone side, Samsung, Sony, and Xiaomi are all supporting Auracast broadcast audio. On the transmitter side, we have qualified products from Ampertronic, Hisense, Samsung, and Resound, part of GN. And then receivers, there's almost too many to name, but JBL, Sennheiser, Jabra, Cochlear, Philips, those are several big names that support the Auracast feature set and are qualified. And then on the right-hand side of the slide, you see some excerpts from the Bluetooth.com webpage for Auracast. This is basically our landing page for official qualified Auracast products. This page launched in October, and at the time we had 35 products. I checked a couple weeks ago, and we now have 100 plus qualified end products that are on the market available for purchase. And so that's really great progress and really good, solid momentum. So now that leads to the next question. What about, deployments? Where can you use Auracast in public settings today? Obviously, you can use it, for personal use cases if you have products from this list that I kind of rattled off here. But we're now tracking these iconic flagship public location deployments that are, underway or inactive. There's 4 that are deployed today. So the Oslo Center Theater in Oslo, Norway, of course, that's active with Auracast. So Auracast broadcasts are available within that public venue. The Lincoln Center in New York, the Smithsonian and Kennedy Center has Auracast as well. And lastly, there's a Marriott Theater in Illinois that has Auracast capabilities also. And then as far as, future deployments, I can't name names, but we know of opera houses, cinemas and theaters, and sports venues that are going to turn up Auracast throughout 2025. So, with that said, we've got really strong progress with Auracast, and I would expect, over the coming years, not going to be, like this year, you're going to see more and more Auracast. I look at it and think about it as kind of like Wi-Fi in the early days, call it like early 2000s. There was Wi-Fi in some locations. Auracast is going to be the same way. You're going to gradually see more and more Auracast, and I suspect, in the next 5-10 years, you will see Auracast almost in any public location that you go. So thank you.